Good morning. Welcome to morningcoffeebeans.com. Thank you for reading all my stories, and I especially appreciate your comments and shares on Facebook and Pinterest. That helps me a lot. Today I'd like to read a story called He That Endures to the End. From a distance, you could barely make out the blurred image of two people moving down the road. A police car with its headlights on low beam followed close behind them. All of the other runners had already completed the 10K run and were sitting around the outdoor tables set up at the Valley Race Park eating lunch and drinking cold drinks. We asked them if they wanted to ride to the finish line, the officer said to me, but they said no, they wanted to finish the run. I looked back down the road and I could make out a man and a woman persistently making their way towards us, but they were no longer running, they were walking. My husband and I were assigned to making sure that the runners and walkers participating in the annual 10K run and 5K walk went out and came back safe. We were sporting orange vests and gripping orange flagpoles against a warm wind while helping the policemen guide the traffic safely around the participants. By now I could see that the couple was a young girl and a man who was probably her dad. They were advancing closer and closer to the end. When they finally reached out to our outstretched hands, I couldn't help but think of a portion of a Bible verse that I learned as a young person. He that endures to the end. It's one I always pull to the surface of my heart when I need help finishing something that is difficult. Completing a race is good practice for everything else we do in life because it is important to learn how not to give up. That's what this girl's dad was teaching her, or maybe she was teaching him, or maybe they were just helping each other. Over 1,000 other runners and walkers had already completed the race and didn't even notice when they came in. But they didn't seem to bother them. Their faces were wet with sweat and their breathing was labored, but they were proud of themselves and each other. During a luncheon for celebrating women pioneering the future that week, I met other women who talked about rewards of never giving up. If I gave up in my job, there could be children without food on their table or clothes to wear to school, one of the guests who works with the Attorney General's office told me. Her job was to locate parents to pay child support. It's a good feeling when you have worked hard to find a child's father or mother and they finally agree to accept their financial responsibility, she told me. Another woman who was being honored at this luncheon told me that if she had given up when her boss told her to, she would not be the president and the owner of her advertising company today. I was told that I was not good at advertising, she said. My boss advised me to pursue another career, but I was determined not to quit, she told me. Quitting was not an option for these women, and it wasn't for the father-daughter team that finished last in the 10K run either. When I asked them how they felt about being the last two people to finish the race, the dad laughed and said, "Somebody has to be last. It might as well have been us." I could imagine that along the way, the young girl may have had to slow down for her dad to keep up, and maybe he tried giving her advice about being safe. Nevertheless, they finished the race together, followed by one faithful black and white police car that wore the sign to protect and serve, helping them to the end. Thank you for listening to this story. I think it's very important that we learn not to give up, not just on the big things, but on the little things. It's easy to tell people don't give up on the big things, but when the little things every day in life that you do, you're like, I'm not going to quit till I finish this. It strengthens you so that when you come to the big things, you can finish them too. And you never know. You're about ready to quit, you think you can't make it, and it might just take one more deep breath or just a few more steps or just a little push to get you to the end so that you finish and you don't give up. And I hope this story helps you in whatever you do today, whether it be a little thing or a big thing, a thing that's just not so important or something very important, not to give up. Thank you for listening to me.